I mean, if it makes sense to you, please give me a call and explain it better. Like, if it makes sense how they've gone about this. I mean, he says, we don't know, but they believe she was going to commit some crime in the future, right? So maybe bribery or whatever, but to thank the people who gave her the job that she supposedly didn't qualify for. But since when do you formulate charges based on what may or may not happen in the future? But also, these questions that the commissioners are asking, I would imagine that, let me put it this way. At the NPA, before they take up any matter for prosecution, they have to be convinced that beyond reasonable doubt, there are prospects of a successful prosecution in this case. That's it. Before any matter is taken through to the courts, it's enrolled, that is the test that that case must pass. Are we convinced as the NPA that beyond reasonable doubt, there are prospects here of a successful prosecution? And if the answer is yes, enroll the matter. If the answer is no, then no. Maybe refer the matter back to the Hogs for further investigations. That's actually what the expectation is. So the questions the commissioners are asking, that's exactly the questions that IDAC and its leadership need to ask before they decide to have an investigator or even enroll the matter. Like, before they even said to Padayachee, investigate this case, don't they sit down and say, okay, this is where we believe the strength of the case is. This is where maybe the weaknesses are. Let's look into that. Was that conversation even had? Because my challenge is, if no one at IDAC has picked up these discrepancies and concerns around the processes that were followed before this matter was enrolled and the arrests were instituted against Khumalo and the other intelligence officer, if no one at IDAC has picked up these concerns, we're in trouble then. Then why must IDAC continue to exist in that way? Because what else are they going to do next in the next case? So if no one at IDAC has raised red flags about this case based on the questions the commissioners are asking, do you have confidence in IDAC? I don't. If no one has seen these discrepancies and they ventilated these concerns, and look, maybe they looked at them and they were satisfied that no, even with these concerns or these red flags, we are confident that we have a strong case. I can get that. But if no one investigated thoroughly what the commissioners are asking, then we're in trouble. We really are. And you know what's said, and I think we do tend to do this, is paint the entire institution with the same brush. And I think that's unfair to do. And there are people at IDAC who are committed to their work. There are people at IDAC who are serious about fighting crime, and they have no interest whatsoever in fighting factional battles. And they've done well. I mean, look at even the cases. I've mentioned Vincent Smith yesterday, right? Who is now in orange overalls as we speak because of the work of IDAC. So their successes, they have had successful prosecutions, and I think we should acknowledge them for that. Even with Brian Padayachee, he's a seasoned investigator, and he has worked on some incredibly difficult, complex cases. I'm sure he's been successful in many cases he's worked on. But that doesn't mean he may not allow himself to meddle up in things he shouldn't be meddling up in. And I don't know whether the blame should necessarily be placed on him or the blame should be placed on the leadership of IDAC, because they're the ones who decided that this is a case that must be investigated and there's a strong case here for a successful prosecution. But as an investigator, you've got a right to also question. Huh? Like, if I'm being told by my bosses to say, hey, let's have a conversation about this, if they ever say that, I can say to them, I don't think that's going to work. I can give my opinion. That's what you do. And if really I'm being told to talk about something that I completely think goes against my values, my profession, my own ethics, then I make that known and I refuse to do it. Because I'm sure he wasn't forced to. They could have picked up somebody else to investigate the case. So my question then is, what did he do about it? So he can't easily escape being held accountable here. I guess the conversation we'll have at 11 o'clock is what must happen now? Now that you know what you know about what IDAC has been involved in this case, now that you know what Andrea Johnson is accused of having done, tipping off Firoz Khan and sending the details of a complainant against Firoz Khan, now that you know that, are we going to justify it and say, it was a blind spot? Like it was a blind stop for her to somehow get involved partially in the panel that ended up appointing her own husband at the Scorpions? It cannot be that every 10 years or every 7 years there's going to be a blind spot so significant by someone who holds such a senior position. So what needs to happen? Does she go? Do you have a commission of inquiry into her fitness to hold office? Do you disband IDAC like you've disbanded the Scorpions? And what does that mean for us as a country? What does that mean for the fight against corruption?